REK. When we remodel your home, we'll care for it as if it were our home. Call REK now. We build confidence.
If you were your car and you needed new brakes, you'd go to the $49.95 CarX Brake Bonanza. Right now, CarX gives you brakes you can trust, a lifetime guarantee on shoes and pads, and a price that's a stopper. The $49.95 Brake Bonanza, because CarX cares. Right now, pay just $49.95 for an expert CarX brake package at the $49.95 CarX Brake Bonanza. Now.
Hey, Jonesy.
What?
Something's going on at the Dodge dealer.
Well, talk to me.
Now's the time to get 3.7% financing or high cash back on selected 87 Dodge cars and trucks in stock. 3.7 or 750 back on Lancer. 3.7 or 300 back on Shadow. And 3.7 or 500 back on Dakota Pickup and Dodge Daytona.
Whoo-wee, have I got an idea.
Great.
You're not going anywhere without me.
Check out the clearance deals now at your St. Louis Metro Dodge boys.
Regular programs won't be seen so that we may bring you a Channel 5 special. Jack Buck, a portrait, is brought to you by Budweiser. Beechwood aged for that distinctively clean, crisp taste that makes Budweiser the king of beers. For all that you do, this Bud's for you.
This Bud's for all that you do.
In the minors, you must have called it all 1,000 times, but you never lost sight of the dream.
I got a telegram for you, Tony.
Okay, thanks, Pops. Hi, babe. Hey, guess what? I got the call. Yeah? I'm in the majors.
You've got a shot, you'll take it.
What's this, rookie umpire?
You've got the heart to make it. You've got the fire, that big league desire. You keep on reaching higher. You make America work, and this Bud's for you.
Here's to you. Beechwood age for that clean, crisp taste that makes Budweiser the king of beer.
Hi. Compliments from the gentleman over there.
This Bud's for you.
Hello, I'm George Middleton, president of the Pizza Huts of the St. Louis area. Ordinarily, we use television to tell you how great our pizza is. Today, I'd like to take this time to say congratulations to Jack Buck on his induction to the Baseball Hall of Fame. St. Louisans should be very proud of their ambassador of great talent, goodwill, and good taste. So, Jack, on behalf of more than 1,300 employees of Pizza Hut, I'd like to say congratulations, Jack Buck. You do a great job for all of us.
Bo, I don't believe this deal.
Why do you believe it? It's just another wise buy deal from Bo Boykman Ford Yugo. Tell him, Jack.
Okay, Bo. Wise buyers can drive away in a 1987 Ford Taurus starting at just $98.88. That's right, from only $98.88. Or choose special factory 5.9 annual percentage rate financing. We have over 100 of these popular 1987 Tauruses available only at Bo Boykman Ford Yugo on Manchester Road in Ellisville. Make your wise buy today.
And a swing and a long one! Down the line! Adios!
The shock of white hair popping over the edge of the press box.
He caught it! He caught it! He caught it! For the second out!
The hand gracefully cupped at the right ear.
Strike call. They blasted a fastball over there, and Davis is hopping up and down.
The eyes darting from the desk to the field to the crowd.
He gets it. The runner's trying for third, and he is out. He is out.
And that classy, rich voice in easy conversation between game and fan.
8 in the bottom of the 10th. Off the stretch, Orozco. Here's the pitch. Swing and a long one into left field. Way back in the corner. Grand slam!
This is Jack Buck in his element. Hello, everybody. I'm Jay Randolph, and you know, I've spent a lot of time in places like this, stadium broadcasting booths. But this is a very special place. It's the KMOX radio booth at Busch Stadium, the office, if you will, of Jack Buck.
Can McGee get there? He's on the run. He got it for the out.
For over 30 years, the voice of the Cardinals, and today in Cooperstown, New York, Jack's name and accomplishments were added to a select list of sports writers and broadcasters honored at the Baseball Hall of Fame. Buck's tools were not a glove or a bat or a ball, but his sharp mind, quick wit, and his knowledge and love of the game. His love of sports reaches back to his boyhood days in Holyoke, Massachusetts. Jack was one of 7 children. His father worked for the railroad, and when the work moved west, the Buck family settled in Lakewood, Ohio, a suburb of Cleveland. They won't turn this house into a shrine, or for that matter, put up a plaque. But this is the home that Jack Buck lived in. He moved here to Cleveland, Ohio at age 15. The home at 1370 Gladys. And right behind the house, a park, perfect for a ball game. Jack's older brothers, Earl and Frank, still live in Lakewood. We visited the park where they played as youngsters. Earl, when you and your brothers played ball on this field, in the old days, I guess I should say, it wasn't quite as nice as it is now.
No, Jay, the bleachers we're on weren't here. It was a dirt field full of holes and bumpy, but a typical field and a good one to learn on. The backstop was at the far end of the field up against the railroad tracks.
And as the freight trains rolled past the field, a teenage Jack Buck tested out the voice that would someday take him to Cooperstown.
He used to describe every play, even when they played football on Gladys Avenue. He would be the quarterback, and he would say, Buck is fading back. He's looking for an open receiver, and throw the ball and stuff like that.
He talked incessantly and describing everything that was happening.
I think the idea crept into my mind that I could do it better, or as well as, or I could do that. Or maybe better than some of the guys that I heard. So about the time I was 15 years old, the idea was formulated in my mind that I wanted to do baseball broadcasting.
Not maybe becoming a broadcaster. This is a young man whose dream became his ambition, and he geared himself. I don't think there was ever a doubt in Jack's mind that he would not be a radio broadcaster in sports. He patterned himself playing at this very field. He couldn't keep his mouth shut. When he's making a play, he's describing it, he's talking it, and just listening to him then, of course we used to tell him to be quiet and play ball.
But the dreams of youth were quickly replaced by the need of the family. Jack's father passed away, and the brothers turned to the job of supporting the family. Jack was still going to high school and working. He was at a point in his life where one person could make a difference. And recently, Jack was reminded of that time and that person.
You know, about a month ago, I went to Lakewood, and I was inducted into the Lakewood, Ohio High School Hall of Fame. I wasn't inclined to go there, really, but we left St. Louis on Sunday.
Thank you.
And we're in Cincinnati Monday night, so I did go. When I was in high school, I was going to quit school. I was working. 3 mornings a week, I hung shopping news on the doorknob. I packed ice cream orders at an ice cream store, worked the soda fountain, delivered the newspapers, sold the newspapers on the corner, went to the drive-in restaurant. At night, I had 5 jobs, and on the weekends, I delivered for the drugstore on foot. I didn't have a bicycle, didn't have a car. I was just a workaholic. My father had died by this time, and every penny I made, I gave to my mother. And my other brothers were getting ready to go in the Army or in the Army on the thing.
I was ready to quit school. And there was a teacher at that time teaching English, Edna Kleinmeyer, and I understand she's still thriving, doing well, and that's great. And I told her that I was quitting school, and she went crazy. She went crazy. And she told me I couldn't quit school, and I didn't quit school. To her, I owe everything with regard to my professional success.
Carol dug out the number and insisted that I call her, and I did. And it was the best part of the trip. I told her who I was and what I was doing and why I was there and what she had done. I'm sure she didn't remember me. But she said, you made my day. She said, you made my week. You made my year. That was the best time of that trip.
Once out of high school, Jack went to work on the ore boats that ply the Great Lakes.
And I don't know if people know what I'm talking about when I talk about these ore boats. They're 700 feet long, you know. And at that time, they carried 14,000 tons of ore. They had a crew of about 30 guys. Well, the war was on. I couldn't have volunteered for the Army. I was obligated. My mother and the 4 kids. I was making good money on the lakes, plus room and board, and almost my entire paycheck went home. This was 42. In 43, I went back on the boats as a deckhand. Well, at that time, if you were an AB seaman, able-bodied seaman, you were draft exempt because of the need for that iron ore coming down through Sault Ste. Marie and down to Cleveland, Buffalo, and Ashtabula, and Conneaut, and all the other places. I got to some great places when I was a kid, you know, 17 years old. I got to Ishpeming and Marquette and Eloise, Wisconsin, and Superior, and places I've mentioned, Buffalo, and then Sandusky, Conneaut, Ashtabula, Port Arthur up in Canada. You didn't realize how much I was learning when I was a kid doing this. I went to get my AB papers, which meant I would have been draft exempt, and found out I was colorblind. I passed the test with the light bulbs and the different colored yarns, and then when they put all those dots in front of me and said, what number do you see that? I said, ain't no number there. So I was drafted because I would have had to stay on the water. My brothers were in the Army. And that would have thrilled me because I loved it, man. I get goosebumps. My hair stands up in the back of my head when I'm on the bow of a ship and into the wind and the spray. Man, I can't imagine a more freer form of living than being on the water. So that's what would have happened. And instead, I got off the boat in Buffalo one night, and the guy said, FBI, you're under arrest for draft evasion. I said, you got to be kidding me. And we were supposed to get our mail in Detroit. I didn't get my draft notice. The mail boat used to come out and give us our mail. And so I had to go back to Cleveland and report to the draft board, and away I went.
When Jack's company arrived in England, the Allied armies were already moving across Europe. Jack was wounded, but still made it to Paris for VE Day. Once discharged, Jack went back to the lakes and to the ore boats. The dream of college and the life in broadcasting didn't seem to be in the cards. But again, a couple of chance meetings opened a path.
And I ran into a lady who was the mother of an old friend of mine, a kid who had hit me in the head with a baseball bat. We were really close friends. And I told her I was thinking about going to college, and she said, what are you doing here? And it really caught my ear and entered my mind. And I said, well, what am I doing here? And later, I was in a bar on a Saturday afternoon cashing a check, ran into the guy who needed a roommate at Columbus on Monday, and I said, I'm going with you.
I came home from work, and Ma said, I want to talk to you. And I said, what's the problem? She says, well, Jack wants to go to school. And I told him, you're head of the house, and, you know, talk to you. So he came and he said that he wanted to go to Ohio State and study broadcasting and journalism. And I said, Jack, I said, there's only one thing I'll ask of you. If you start it, you finish it. And that's the only thing that I asked him, and he did that.
And I found out that he was going to take a journalism course, which included radio. I guess they would call it communications now. I really got mad at him. And I told him, I said, you dummy, anybody who wants to get through school takes a journalism course. Why don't you go and get an accounting degree so you'll have something when you get out? So much for my advice, right? Maybe it's a good thing he didn't listen to me.
Out there across America, no matter where you roam, as long as there's a Bob Evans, you're just a few smiles from home.
Welcome to Bob Evans.
Got loads of good food, and you'll like our style. So come on in, sit down for a while. Welcome to Bob Evans.
Some of the best cooking you'll ever have.
Just a few smiles from home.
They're back.
The heat is back on the street.
And by popular demand, it's the all-new 1987 Heat is On bumper sticker. To get your free bumper sticker, just stop by KSDK TV, 1000 Market Street during normal business hours, or send in a stamped self-addressed business-size envelope. Also, take advantage of a 25-cent off coupon of America's Choice. Pepsi, Diet Pepsi, Mountain Dew, Pepsi Free, and Diet Pepsi Free on the back of the bumper sticker.
Back by popular demand.
Chevy Cavalier, Chevy Celebrity, the main attractions at your Mid-America Chevy dealer's summer celebration. Special shipments of this area's best-selling cars means immediate delivery, low prices, higher trade-in, the best cars for the money, plus special $500 factory cashbacks or 3.9 financing on Cavalier, Corsica, Beretta, Nova, Spectra. The car, the cash, the time is now. So hurry to the summer celebration at your Mid-America Chevy dealers.
What the Schnucks 22 Metro St. Louis stores open around the clock mean to you? It means dewy, fresh produce 24 hours a day. Warm from the oven treats from our bakery for a special time or any time. Select cuts of meat from our meat masters for those late-night dinners and farm-fresh dairy products when you need them most. Visit one of our 24-hour stores today or tonight. Come see the way we do the things we do at Schnucks.
Once on the campus at Ohio State University in Columbus, Jack turned all his energies into the job of becoming a broadcaster. He didn't have much experience behind the mic. While getting his feet wet at the college radio station, a funny thing
happened there one night. A guy came in and he talked to another fellow by the name of Dick Heim, who is now in Buffalo, and I see him every once in a while, and told him about a job that was open downtown. And the fellow left, and I was typing a story and hardly listening. And I swear to you, if Haim hadn't said anything to me, I wouldn't have done anything. But Haim turned to me and he said, now he's talking to me, Buck. He said, you keep your nose out of that. Well, that stayed with me from the way he talked. And I went to the gas station at night at 11 o'clock. I was working from 11 at night till 7 in the morning at the gas station. Married by this time. I had a kid. We lived in the one room. Used to keep the milk on the windowsill to keep it cold. And I called the radio station. I found the guy's name, Ed Sprague. He's the program director. And I called him at home and asked him if I could see him about the job he had open. He said, yes. He said, what time can you come down? I said, what time do you go to work? He said, 8 o'clock. I said, I'll be there waiting for you. I worked till 7, shut down the radio station. Visit with them that morning, was on the air that night. Now, if that guy hadn't said that to me, I never would have gotten that job. I never would have even tried out for the job. So suddenly I was still going to school, and now I was on the air. And now I started doing basketball for the radio station. I did baseball in Columbus in 1950 and 51, and Columbus was a bad baseball town. 1952, they decided they weren't going to broadcast anymore. Didn't have anything to do with me. Nobody went to the games. They couldn't sell the broadcasts. And I got fired. I was making $5,200 a year. $100 a week I was doing baseball by myself, football, basketball, 2 sports shows a day, a record show in the morning, and making calls with the salesman in the afternoon. Man, I was working my tail off. And I got fired. And they said, you can have 2 weeks' notice or you can have the money. I said, let me have the money, $200. Went over to a radio station. I got a job that day. Came back the next morning, and the guy reneged, not on the job, but on the money. I said, do you mind if I use your phone? He said, no, and I called the television station, which I should have done in the first place. Called the person out there, and he said, I've been waiting for you to call. Come on out. It's funny how things turn out like that. So I ended up at the TV station, and Jonathan Winters and I were both staff announcers. We shared a little announce booth, about 5 by 5, and everything was slides then in television. This was 1952, and voice over the slide. Well, that son of a gun, everything you said, he imitated in your ear. You know, the mic was here, and he's in your ear now. If you can get through a minute of Jonathan Winters, you've got it made. And he had a comedy show, and I had a sports show called Buckeyes Sports, the Buckeyes State. And 5 nights a week we did that. So then the job came open in Rochester, and Bing Devine called the fellow in Columbus, Al Bannister, who had first hired me. He called me back. I went to Rochester from there.
Jack worked for Bing Devine in Rochester for only a couple of seasons because, as it worked out, both Jack and Bing would be heading for St. Louis.
News, of course, in St. Louis today on this memorable Friday, February 20th, is the sale of the St. Louis Cardinals. The sale being from the previous president, Fred Sy, to the new president, Colonel August A. Bush.
Anheuser-Busch bought the Cardinals, which included the organization, which included Rochester. At that time, it was an ownership AAA club. And they came in and engineered a deal to take over the sponsorship of the play-by-play broadcast from the then sponsors. I think it was even Old Topper Ale or something like that. And as a result, Jack Buck was broadcasting for the Red Wings, but it turned out he was also broadcasting for a Cardinal-owned farm club, which led, well, at the end of that season, to the need here in St. Louis for a play-by-play man to team with Harry Carey. And between Anheuser-Busch, who approved it, and Darcy Advertising Company, who was interested in Jack and made the deal to bring him in here, that's how he came to St. Louis.
Jack came to St. Louis and was soon teamed with Harry Carey and Joe Garagiola. Many say it was the best radio team ever assembled for baseball.
A pitch to Musial. A hot shot on the ground into right field, a base hit. Here's thrown around third. Here's a no throw. The Cardinals lead 1-0. Listen to the crowd.
While Harry, Joe, and Jack were in the booth, Bob Bragg was covering the Cardinals for the St. Louis Post-Dispatch.
Well, you're talking about, in the time when Carey headed a team and included Joe Garagiola and Jack Buck. I think the names alone speak for themselves. That's a triumph of triumph. That's a great combination. I think probably the biggest problem then would be the ability to utilize your assistants, associates. Maybe Carey didn't do that because he's probably overly possessive. But I doubt that anybody could really criticize or say or question whether any trio was more terrific than they. It's just like saying, it's oddly enough that now nationally, among the former ball players, the most prominent ones, I guess nationally, would be Tim McCarver and Bob Uecker, both of whom also played here. Maybe it's something in our drinking water or our beer.
That was my first year broadcasting, and the booth was Harry, Jack, myself, and it was a pleasure, and it was so great to work with the both of them because I had just come off the field and I needed a lot of help. Still do, for that matter.
No, 3 in the booth wasn't tough, though, in those days with those two fellows?
No, because in those days, and as it should be, someone always had to be in control of the booth, and that was Harry. And we knew that, and then Jack is so versatile, and my job was to talk baseball, and it was not crowded at all.
And what did the leader of this merry band of announcers think of the new kid from Rochester?
No, I never had any trouble with him. I liked him. The only thing about it, especially when we started, he was always afraid I was going to get him fired by what I said on the air.
Of course, it was Harry and Joe who later moved on. Jack has stayed with the city and with the team. His longevity in baseball broadcasting, and now the award in Cooperstown, has caused him to reflect on his life in baseball.
If it's true, and I think it is, that St. Louis is the best baseball town in the country, all things considered. No divided interest, the Cubs and the White Sox, or Yankees or Boston, or Baltimore or Philadelphia. We've got a lock. I think everybody, of all the people who listen to Cardinal broadcasts, 95% of them are rooting for the Cardinals. And with the people that we draw in the great stadium, and the behavior of the fans, the enthusiasm of the fans, I don't think you have to apologize to anybody when you say that St. Louis is the #1 baseball town in the country. They draw more people than Los Angeles, but they're different cities. So if that's true, and if I'm one of the broadcasters, I have the best job in baseball. And I'd rather be here than do the Yankees, or do the Angels, or do the Dodgers. And it's better than the commissioner's job. You know, the problems that he has, man, it can't be enjoyable. You're in the spotlight, but maybe the commissioner doesn't want the spotlight. It's better than the league president's job. And it's better than being the manager. I couldn't manage, as Herzog does. And you last a heck of a lot longer as a broadcaster than you do as a player. So if all of that is true, I have the best job in baseball.
With every Budweiser enjoyed, the promise endures. The promise of genuine quality. Quality you can taste. Clean, crisp, Beechwood aged Budweiser. Always certain, always satisfying. Because we know you wouldn't have it any other way. That's why this Bud's for you.
1987, your Mid-America Cadillac dealers rock the world with news of their last chance sales spectacular. The last of the new 1987 Cadillacs are here, over 1,000 of them. It's your last chance for big model year closeout savings, plus 3.9% financing, or up to thousands of dollars in new incentives. Don't miss your Mid-America Cadillac dealers last chance sales spectacular, and your last chance to get a new 1987 Cadillac at spectacular savings.
Meineke knows what you want in a muffler. You want a quality muffler that doesn't cost a lot.
Young man, I'm not going to pay a lot for this muffler.
I'm not going to pay a lot for this muffler, and I want quality.
We're not going to pay a lot for this muffler.
No problem. Our quality Everlast mufflers are priced from just $18.93 installed.
Oh, I'm not going to pay a lot and still get quality.
You're not going to pay a lot for quality at Meineke.
You know, when somebody does something for me, I never feel that the debt is repaid. Never. People say, well, I'm even with him now. The heck with him. But I don't think that way. Hi, Steve.
It would be easy for Jack Buck to cloak himself inside the world of balls and strikes and not let the outside world intrude. But there is a part of him that yearns to give. Jack has taken the venue as the voice of the Cardinals and turned it outward in a personal way, lending his name and time as speaker, host, and fundraiser.
I don't have the inclination to say no when people ask me to do things.
Jack is a sentimental man who enjoys bringing the bright moments to those who need a lift. One such moment was the night a young friend with cystic fibrosis visited Jack and Mike Shannon in the radio booth. His name was Lance Holhauser.
You know, you hear about miracles, and you hear about kids that are having problems and that are sick and they're dying and they have their last wish. And of course, this kid's wish was that he wanted to come to the ballpark and see a baseball game. And so Jack, being the chairman of the cystic fibrosis organization at the time, of course, is aware of these things.
It was straight A night. The 4 people from the family came, and the daughter had tickets in the upper deck out in left field. And Lance was with them and carrying the little oxygen tank, and I got a note that the family was outside and could they come into the booth.
He was seated behind us in the second tier, and there's never been a baseball that's come into the booth and gone up there.
It'll either hit the screen or go over our head, and if it does happen to miss the screen and come in the booth, you don't want to try to catch it, because I don't want to catch it, because it's really whistling. So the mother and the daughter sat in the back to over my left shoulder. I think Tom Barton was the engineer. I was next, then Shannon and Bob Starr. And the father and Lance sat up over my right shoulder, and the father sat behind a cardboard box that had been just emptied. T-shirt night, I think it was.
And on this particular night, a ball was fouled and it was going to go in the booth next to ours. But there are guide wires that run from the facade just above us all the way down to the screen that hold the screen. It hit that guide wire, it came into our booth and bounced up, somehow hit the ceiling, came down on the counter where this young man was seated and rolled right in front of him. And he just very calmly picked the ball up and looked at it in disbelief, and you know, probably the happiest time in that boy's life.
I look up there now, I try to figure out the timing and the physics of that, and where the ball could have gone. Of all the places the ball could have gone that night, it ended up stopped in front of the kid. The kid couldn't have caught the ball. Frail little fella. And when he pounced on that ball, and we were looking around watching it, boom, it rolled right in front of us. You talk about Federal Express, man.
And of course, Jack, well, he couldn't do 2 innings because, I mean, he was lost for 2 innings. He turned around and he was doing the play-by-play. And he turned around and saw this happen and saw the boy with the baseball, and I mean, he choked up.
You talk about a gift from somewhere. We all know where it came from.
Everybody that came in autographed the ball for Lance, and Jack autographed it first, and then Mike Shannon and Bob Starr. Craig Virgil was there, and probably the greatest Cardinal of all, Stan Musial, was there. Just happened to be there that night, so everything seemed to work out. That it was unbelievable that it happened.
About a couple of months ago, we had a youngster up in our booth by the name of Lance Holzhauser. Young man would have been 14 years old this month, and he died yesterday as a result of cystic fibrosis. And our deepest sympathies to his family, his parents, Larry and Mary, and his sister Denise. And we're happy that we were able to afford him a couple of happy moments here up in the booth a month or so ago, and I'll never forget the moment he caught that foul ball, will you?
It was something, I tell you. It was just right to him. It ricocheted off the guy wire, and it was just like it was Providence.
Yeah, it looked like the Lord put that ball right in his hands.
And when we went up to the wake, we were a little late getting there because my parents were there already. And we walked in, Jack was already there, which meant a great deal to us, as parents, that he thought enough of, of Lance and really all the children that have cystic fibrosis to, come out and show his respects.
Well, what can you say about that? Two special people.
Jack Buck, a portrait, will continue in a moment. Gospel music has evolved from slave songs and hymns to the big business of Christian contemporary music and even heavy metal missionaries. Channel 5's Huel Perkins will show you how gospel music, with its deep St. Louis roots, has affected the music we listen to today. Hallelujah! A cover story series beginning Monday at 10 on Eyewitness News Update.
Hallelujah! Right now, for a limited time, your Mid-America Ford dealer introduces a new Ford Taurus. It's the Taurus TRS, and it's hot. TRS, unique, with custom striping and a distinctive emblem that sets it apart. And now get low financing or a cash bonus direct from Ford, with interest as low as 3.9% on the world's best-selling car, Ford Escort. Taurus TRS, the special edition, and Ford Escort, now with low financing or a cash bonus, only at your Mid-America Ford dealer.
It carries detailed business graphics. It carries life-saving hospital records. It carries more information in an instant than most people are exposed to in a lifetime. It's the Southwestern Bell Telephone Network. And through digital and fiber optic technology, it links computers together that link people together.
The CAT scan just came over the line.
Southwestern Bell Telephone, the one to call on.
Ever since your post office invented express mail overnight delivery, others have tried to copy our eagle. But it's not so easy. Because express mail has overnight reliability that's close to perfect, the most convenient locations, and prices as low as $10.75. Most others charge you about twice that. So if you want a combination of low prices, convenience, and reliability no one can imitate, use the original express mail service from your post office.
Celebrating our 25th season of Cardinals baseball, this is Channel 5, St. Louis.
There's a Hall of Famer.
Jack, hi there.
Can you say hello to those folks for us, please, in Union City? Thank you.
What's that last, the second name?
Toewater.
Toewater.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
These always end up in my dry cleaners. You could feel as tired and as worn out as can be and go to the ballpark. I can't. I'll try. And go there, meet the people. Hi, hello, 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 hi. Turn the lights on, the players, the crack of the bat, the game. It's wonderful. The beauty of the game of baseball is that you always run into people who know more than you do. And you never know all there is to know about baseball. And the games are always different. Something always happens. And it's a good game of mental gymnastics as well as the physical performances on the field. And that's the beauty of it.
But the beauty of the game can sometimes be lost. The 70s were a difficult time for the Cardinals. Jack had been on the job for over 25 years, and he had begun to have reservations about the best job in baseball.
I don't know if I would have lasted this long had not Herzog come along. There came to be a period of time with the ball players that we had, and it really wasn't a reflection on the manager, whoever happened to be, Ken Boyer, Shane Deanster, or anybody else. It wasn't fun anymore. I was almost ashamed of the players, including the way they played and failed to win, and the way they dressed, and the way they acted, and the way their just general behavior, and the things on the bus. And I thought I was on a grade school outing, you know, with screams and yells and, well, no sense dwelling on that, but it was far from enjoyable. And I really don't think I'd still be here if it hadn't been for Herzog, with the mentality that he applied to the situation. The way he got rid of people, the way he added people, the way they perform for him, the way they act, the way they behave. And I became proud again to be a part of the Cardinals, whereas I was losing it a few years ago. This is a dugout show for Saturday, 3, 2, 1. Good evening, everyone. Here at the ballpark, a lot of fans were accommodated.
I guess really, when I think about it, I probably see Jack Buck more each year than I see my wife. And so I talk to him just about as much, too, because she a lot of times says to me, I don't talk to her, but I'm thinking about something else. But yeah, I think you're right, Jay. I do spend a lot of time with Jack Buck.
Do you get along with Buck as well as you do Mary Lou?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's no problems either way. Don't get me wrong. But the big thing I've found out about Jack Buck, he is a Cardinal fan. And I think sometimes when we lose, he takes it harder than I do. And I think it shows sometimes after the game in his personality, how he's down, his chin's dragging. And I don't know, I don't get to hear the Cardinal broadcast, Jay, don't get me wrong, but I know that he loves the Cardinals and he wants us to win, and boy, when we lose, he is down. I can't honestly say that unless I get kicked out of a ball game that I've ever heard you or Jack or Mike since I've been here. And so it's awful tough to me to say, well, he's the best, but I'll say one thing, and being around him, and I know that he's fair, and I know that he doesn't make excuses. And as long as he comes over that way, as far as me being a manager is concerned, Jay, that's great.
Here's a line drive into left.
Whitey may come up short of tagging Jack as the best, but others aren't so shy.
Jack Buck knows more about the game of baseball than any other non-playing broadcaster in my mind. The best. He has that knowledge, and the reason he does is because he's gone out of his way to take time to study it and to ask and be around the players. Another thing that Jack has, number one in the business, he has the respect of the people in the business, the ball players, the coaches, the managers, the front office, but more importantly, the ball players. They trust Jack. They trust him. They admire him. And they know that he appreciates what they do.
How you doing, Jack? How you doing, Will? Timing's everything, man.
He's paid his dues. He spent a lot of years on the beat, as all of us have. He's thoroughly documented as far as the validity of his selection. and I like him very much as a human being, which is, I guess, really more important than anything.
Well, they asked me to go out and see him, and I went out, and Ozzie came out, and Gene Stallings went out 3 times, man.
Your appreciation of him, I think, grows as the season goes on. You like him better after 162 games than you did after 3 or 4 games. And you like him better after 5 years than you did after 1 year. I think that the more he reveals himself, the more layers you get to see, I think the better you like him, because he has some depth as a person that goes beyond ball 1, strike 2.
And then I saw him yesterday, he'd walk around.
As good as he is, that's amazing.
One of the important things was,
I never realized how easy he made things look until I got into the business back in 1980. And to say Jack Buck is a natural is certainly an understatement.
Stay tuned for Cardinal baseball.
And I think probably one of the greatest qualities about Jack Buck is the fact that he has a tremendous appreciation for what he does. And he thinks it's an honor to be the Cardinal broadcaster. He doesn't think that they owe him something. He thinks that he owes that broadcast something. And that's a sincere interest of his, that he owes it something, that it doesn't owe him.
Ozzie Smith is hitting 300 and can't keep the smile off his face.
You got to have that touch of style that crosses the line from craft into an art form. The great announcers, like Jack, make broadcasting a ball game an art form.
Here's the pitch. Stubbs swings, and the line drive is caught by force for the...
So if this is art, there must be a masterpiece or two.
And Gibson is 1 strike away from the no-hitter.
Gibson was totally admirable. I found him to be about the toughest individual in sports that I have met, and talented. He never had no hitter, so he had no hitter going against that good Pittsburgh club. Boy, the drama just continued to rise.
Windup. Here's the pitch, and it's a strike called. A no-hitter for Gibson.
And when he got it, man, the tears popped out of my eyes.
Gibson, who's in go by his teammate.
What impressed me about Brock was the audacity of the man. You know, first you had to get on base, and then the whole world knows you're going to try to steal second base. And with the whole world against you, you do it. And on that particular night at the ballpark, when he had 103 and a big, big crowd, first he had to get on base. And he did. And he stole it. Then he got base on again and broke the record.
He is going. The pitch is a strike. The throw, he is there. He did it. 105 for Lubra.
Brock was about to steal that famous base out in San Diego, and it was my turn to do an inning. And Brock was going to come to bat that inning. So I went ahead and did it, and did the inning, but Brock got on. And as soon as he got on, I told Jack that he would, you know, come on. He said, no, it's your inning, you do it. And I said, well, I'm not going to do it. He said, it's your inning, you'll have to do it. And I said, well, if he gets on, I'm getting up and walking out of the booth, and you don't have any choice. And, of course, that did happen.
He's going. The pitch is high. The throw is safe. He stole it. The throw got by the shortstop, and Brock has done it.
In my mind, Jack's greatest call was the Ozzie Smith home run in the 5th game of the National League playoffs in 1985.
Smith corks one into right down the line. It may go. Go crazy, folks. Go crazy. It's a home run, and the Cardinals have won the game by the score of 3-2 on a home run by the Wizard.
That was the first time those words, "go crazy, folks," had ever entered my mind. And I said it. And I stood up and indicated for Colin, the engineer, to bring up the crowd noise. And I stood up, you know, the thunderous noise that was in the ballpark. And I turned to him and I said, why did I say that? And I didn't think it was an appropriate remark at that time. Now, as time has gone by, it turns out to be, you know, kind of legendary, if it's not too heavy a word to use. But I don't know why I said that. I don't know where it came from, and I hadn't been drinking.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy! It's a home run, and the Cardinals have won.
Because at that one moment, almost everybody in St. Louis was united in one emotion. And he did more than just report that moment. He orchestrated it. He said, go crazy, folks, go crazy. And so he was almost the maestro of a great moment in St. Louis.
Through all the special moments that Jack has witnessed and broadcast, you just know there are times when he wishes he were on the field and not in the broadcast booth. Every sports fan has those fantasies, and Jack is a great fan of baseball. But there was a time when Jack headed one of the greatest softball teams ever assembled.
We had a game with the police department. We used to play the police department all the time in a benefit softball game, and Jack would pitch. Now, we had an infield. I played third. Marty Marion was the shortstop. Red Shandings was the second baseman, and Stan Musier was playing first. And we beat the policemen this first year. So anyway, the next year, those policemen were going to try to put us in our place. And they had a great big guy on the police department team that used to play in the Cardinal organization. And he had never forgiven the Cardinals for releasing him or not giving him a chance or whatever. And he was playing there. Man, he hit two balls over the fence across the street on this building. I mean, there was nobody there, ex-professionals, that could have hit it that far. And I don't think there was any players that were playing that day that could have hit it that far. I mean, this guy was big and strong. The hardest ball that I've ever had hit at me was hit at me by this guy. Now, I've had balls hit by Henry Aaron and Willie Mays and you name it, but I've never had one hit any harder than this policeman hit at me that night playing third base with Jack pitching. So I went over to Jack. I said, "Hey, Jack," I said, "you can't be pitching this guy inside. He's going to get me killed." He said, "Better you than me."
Well, the only time I ever get perturbed at Jack is when he's golfing. You know,
you and me both.
You know, I always say when you're bad at something, play fast, not as many people will see you. And Jack's not a very good golfer, and you know, he stands and watches where the ball rolls to, and he takes 4 or 5 practice swings, and then if he shanks one, he'll hit another one. And you know, he adds an hour and a half to a foursome. I mean, he really does.
One day we're playing, and I said, he got really mad. I said, "Jack, what are you mad about?" He said, "Well, I want to do this." I said, "Well, what are you going to shoot today?" So I'm going to shoot 100. I said, "Then what are you getting mad about?" I said, "You're shooting 100. It just makes him mad that he can't shoot 80 or 70. You know, he wants to be a perfectionist at everything.
What he lacked on the links, Jack more than made up for around the diamond. We'll join Jack in Cooperstown next.
Mark leads away at second, one out.
All right, let me have your attention, guys. Assignments for today.
This Bud's for all that you do.
Like many before, you came here asking for just one thing, a chance.
Sadowski.
Shibowski.
So what?
It's pronounced Shibowski.
You're here to make a new start, but starting out's the hard part. Whatever the test, you give it your best. You'll show you've got the heart, 'cause you make America work, and this Bud's for you.
Here's to you, Beechwood Age, for that clean, crisp taste that makes Budweiser the king of beers.
Hey, Sid.
You make America work, and this Bud's for you.
Goodbye. Torque has done it again.
You shake my nerves and you rattle my brain. Too much love drives a man insane. You broke my will, but what a thrill. Goodness gracious, great balls of fire.
Goodbye, folks. Goodbye, 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 and Clark has done it again.
Clark sends it a long way to center. It is gone.
Goodness gracious, great balls of fire.
Chevy Cavalier, Chevy Celebrity, the main attractions at your Mid-America Chevy dealers' summer celebration. Special shipments of this area's best-selling cars means immediate delivery, low prices, higher trade-in, the best cars for the money, plus special $500 factory cashbacks or 3.9 financing on Cavalier, Corsica, Beretta, Nova, Spectra. The car, the cash, the time is now. So hurry to the summer celebration at your Mid-America Chevy dealers.
It's this little town in Cooperstown. It's a throwback to old stories that you read in English class. You look for Ichabod Crane to come over the hill. But eventually you get to the hall itself. And there's a lot of fuss and feathers around it. You are eventually in a room. And you're sitting in this room, it's just behind the podium and the rostrum. And you look around and you realize that everyone in the room is a Hall of Famer. Everyone. And that's when you are totally overwhelmed.
May I present to you Jack Buck.
Thank you, Ralph, and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Commissioner Ubroth and folks of the baseball world, what a lovely day, what a great weekend, and what a terrific honor. In the back here in the library is a plaque which says Jack Buck, 1924, which is my year of birth, dash, and then a blank. It's very difficult for me to look at that plaque. When I go home, I am going to send to the Hall of Fame to Ed Stack the figures 2020, and they can put it up there, 1924, 2020, so that when I die at age 95, the folks can say that loudmouth finally went, and now the Cardinals can hire a nice young announcer to do the work. I will be 95 at that time. So here stands a dirty-necked kid from Holyoke, Massachusetts, wondering how in the heck he got here. In 1950, the late Al Bannister took a chance on an announcer who'd never did a baseball game in his life, and I've loved him ever since. And then Bing Devine in 1953 in Rochester, New York. And then the folks in St. Louis in 1954, and primarily Gussie Bush, a wonderful gentleman, 88 years old as of today, still going very strongly, and a wonderful friend of mine along with his wife, Margaret, and August Bush now, who runs Anheuser-Busch and the ball club, and Fred Kuhlman and Lou Sussman, and Mike Rorty, America's favorite Irishman and the best marketing man in the country, and Dal Maxfield, and before those folks, Harry Renfro, and Ray Krings, and Jack Machika, Dolan Walsh, and Wally Armbruster, names that don't mean much to you people, but mean everything to me. Making the trip over here today is a fella, it's always dangerous to say he's your best friend, but I kind of think that Bob Hyland, who runs KMOX Radio, the #1 radio station in the country, is my best friend, and he made the trip over here today. And Dick Brescia, who hired me for radio on CBS, and the late Frank Miller, and Neil Pilson, Bob Kipperman, and Frank Murphy, and my good friends at CBS TV, and Hank Stram, and Joe Theismann. I want them to know I'm thinking about them. And Harry Carey, from whom I learned so much, both good and bad. What to say and what not to say, and I hope that someday Harry has the thrill of this moment. And the people I work with now, Mike Shannon and Jay Randolph, Ken Wilson, and the others. I have 8 healthy, wonderful kids, and I wish they'd stand if I could remember their names. Beverly, Jack, Chris, Bonnie, Dan, and Betsy. Down there in front, there's 6 of them. There's something. And I'd like to acknowledge their mother, Alice. And down in front, Joe and Julie. And Joe wants to be a broadcaster, and my wife, Carol, who holds all of this together for me. I've had the pleasure of broadcasting Cardinal baseball. The first year I was there, 54, one Sunday afternoon in May, Stan Musial hit 5 home runs. I said, my God, does he do this every Sunday? He did something every Sunday. He didn't hit 5 home runs every Sunday, but imagine the people I've had the fun of describing. Boyer, McCarver, and Maris, and Cepeda, and Cunningham, and Avier, and Grote, and currently Ozzie Smith, and Jack Clark, and Willie McGee, and Bob Forsch, and the best manager who ever managed, Whitey Herzog. Most of all, and I'm coming to the end of my half hour, the biggest kick I get is to communicate with those who are exiled from the game. In hospitals, homes, prisons, those who have seldom seen a game, some who can't travel to the game, those who are blind. And after all of these years, I realize that my energy comes from the people at the other end. Tuesday night, we go home. Cardinals are playing a doubleheader day in San Francisco. We play the Mets in St. Louis. And if you've never been there, If you've never been there, there's no way to tell you what you're missing. Such a beautiful sport with no politics involved, no color, no class. Only as a youngster can you play, and as a pro, can you win. The game has kept me young, involved, and excited. And to be up here with the gems of baseball, and this is like, for you people, I'm sure, looking at some diamonds in the front window of a jewelry store. For me to be standing up here is a thrill and a joy which I'll never forget. Even though I've been doing it for so long, you know what I miss? I miss not being with my ball club and not being involved in that doubleheader today. So when I am able to digest what has transpired here this weekend, and Tuesday night walk up into the booth, have the best seat in the house, and broadcast for a team which has a pretty fair chance of winning this year, I want the Cardinal fans to know when they hear me that I am humble, happy, and very grateful. Thank you.
This Bud's for all that you do.
It could be any time now. I'll call you back.
A friend is counting on you.
No, Bill had to leave. Can I help you? We need copies by 4:30.
I'll cover it for him.
Hey, Chester. Is this Bill's first?
Well, not a word.
You see a new beginning. Now is your finest inning. Your friends make it better by pulling together. You share the pride of winning. You make America work, and this Bud's for you.
Here's to you. Beechwood aged for that clean, crisp taste that makes Budweiser the king of beers.
Here he comes.
This Bud's for you.
Bert Sports People promo, take one.
To be a Perch-born person, you have to be persuasive, persistent, and pretty peculiar. Of course, only a privileged few who are passionate enough about their particular skill can participate, because to be a Perch-born person, you have to pique the interest of the man who hosts this pageant of preposterousness, and I'm about as peculiar as they come.
In person, Peter Pertzborn.
No, not Peter, John. John Pertzborn.
Pertzborn's People promo, take two.
Pertzborn's People, only on Channel 5 Eyewitness News.
The year 1987. Your Mid-America Cadillac dealers rock the world with news of their last chance sales spectacular. The last of the new 1987 Cadillacs are here. Over 1,000 of them. It's your last chance for big model year closeout savings, plus 3.9% financing, or up to thousands of dollars in new incentives. Don't miss your Mid-America Cadillac dealers' last chance sales spectacular and your last chance to get a new 1987 Cadillac at spectacular savings.
Jack Buck has said that he has the best job in baseball. And today, baseball said that Jack Buck is among the best. Jack is now in the Hall of Fame. It seems to me that his legacy will be that he described the action and entertained the fans with a high degree of resiliency. That's a tribute to his talent over the years. And maybe the best way to end this broadcast is the way Jack would probably end it, the way he has so many times. Simply this. Thanks for your time, this time. Till next time, so long. This is Jay Randolph for all of us, saying congratulations, Jack Buck.
That's a winner. The Cardinals have won 6 in a row. 6-3 the final.
Jack Buck, a portrait, has been brought to you by Budweiser. Beechwood aged for that distinctively clean, crisp taste that makes Budweiser the king of beers. For all that you do, this Bud's for you.
Tonight at 10. Elvis Presley fans mean money for Memphis. Learn more at 10. Plus,
I'm John Pertzborn, and coming up tonight at 10 on Pertzborn's People, I'll introduce you to some new Cardinal players you've never met before. So watch on Eyewitness News Update.
Join us.
Baseball fans, shop Schnucks this week and take a Cardinal home. When you buy Oscar Mayer sliced bacon, Maxwell House coffee, Lemon Dash detergent, or Minute Maid orange and Sprite sodas, you can pick a card from this week's lineup. Jack Clark, Terry Pendleton, Jose Oquendo, or Ricky Horton. Get one free autographed photo for each item purchased. Collect up to 4 team members each week for 4 weeks and you'll have 16 Cardinal stars. Hurry, supplies are limited. It's the way we do the things we do at Schnucks.
If you love all the ice cream sensations at Baskin-Robbins, watch this. Here's a 30 wonderfully sweet deal just for you. Baskin-Robbins Banana Royale for just $1.99. We'll dish up 2 scoops of your favorite Baskin-Robbins ice cream flavors, add bananas and fudge, real whipped cream and toasted almonds for the ultimate banana treat. Best of all, you can get the royal treatment for only $1.99. So hurry to Baskin-Robbins and get your 30 wonderfully sweet deal today.
So I says to Jim, you win the car, go to the car. I don't know if you could see it on camera because we're looking at the car. Jim heads straight to Vanna for what? Some sort of embrace? Was that the deal there, Jim? Tell the truth.
I was trying.
Yeah. Now,
he actually asked if he could give me a kiss.
Yeah. Now
I'm very shy, and you know that.
You just met Jim.
That's
but
right.
What will you give Jim?
He deserves a very big handshake.
All right, give him a handshake.
Oh, thank you.
Congratulations, Jim.
Thank you.
Next time, obey instructions. Hey, congratulations. Nice car, nice player. $18,094. Thanks a lot. We'll see you next time on Wheel of Fortune. Can I have one? Thank you very much.
Some contestants receive great tasting Peter Pan peanut butter. Eat some peanut butter anytime you can, only if it's Peter Pan. And Gitano is always on the cutting edge of fashion and design, offering up-to-the-minute styling and exceptional quality. Gitano. And the paper-made metal roller pen doesn't smudge or smear like the leading roller ball pen. The paper-made metal roller in fine or microfine. And new for denture wearers, finer texture Rigident adhesive powder, biting power formula. Imagine biting an apple again. Rigident. And Sneaker Tamers insoles tame ferocious sneaker odor with exclusive supercharged activated charcoal from Odor Eaters. And Sunny Delight Florida Citrus Punch brand. Nothing delights you like vitamin-enriched Sunny Delight. Now in frozen concentrate.
The prices of the prizes were furnished to the contestants prior to the show and have been rounded off to the nearest dollar. Gift certificates do not include sales tax.
The weather's warm outside and the night heats up on Channel 5. At 8, it's a steamy Miami Vice when Crockett falls for a murderer's wife. Then on Crime Story, Torello hovers on an emotional edge when he comforts a victim of rape. Catch the Men of Friday Night tonight on Channel 5.